Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, August the 9th. My name is Anne-Marie Band, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. We are taking a look at SPY here. We had a number of earnings come across the wires, and certainly if you listen to the Benzinga pre-market prep, which is always incredible for stocks and that sort of thing, you'll see the breakdown of what we had looking at. Now for us, Upstart and SMCI and Celsius, those positions really came right into the analysis that we did on the Zoom event midday. So hopefully you have a chance to check that out so you can see how we come to those decisions and how you can come to those decisions and be a better trader using all the information that you see on the Benzinga Pro platform. So from the SPY, what we have happening is a gap down at the open and then a filling of the gap. So notice traders went short because of the breakdown below the close, and they shorted it into the low around 445 and some change. Now, notice, if we go to the weekly chart and we see where that 445 is, it's definitely below the low of last week, which was a very bearish candle, but also above the high of all of this congestion, which I'm going to move up to about 444. My suspicion is that we are still banging around here trying to frame out a reference, but let's try to see what we anticipate intraday today. So we're looking at the 4-hour formations. We had a low that recovered. So remember, we want to look at just the near-term candlesticks to figure out what's going on. You can see the traders are trying to fill the gap, right? So buyers get involved above this close. They think, hey, we're recovering. They try to hold the floor. So the floor this morning, my suspicion is, and I'm going to use, I hate having all these lines. The floor this morning is really going to be the low of 446.28. Now, if you can see the volume profile on the edges, you can see we've got a, I don't know what kind of node that is. It's thin relative to the grand scheme, certainly, but there is a pocket that says, hey, let's try and recover this. And so that is several days old from this initial breakdown on August the 2nd. All right? And so look at the forms and how they are repeating themselves. We had here the gap down. It causes the traders to sell. They can't hold the edge of this. I love this indicator. It's very nice. It is a Keltner channel, but it runs with the market in a really nice curvy manner. It's not, let me collapse these again. It's very nice indicator. It works really nicely in our ribbon, telling us where the edges of these formations are. And so we are looking at the gap down, causes the sellers, comes into the Keltner band, but we cannot lift above this area that is now really trending downward. Let's go to the daily and see how we're breaking out. Notice on the day, it is still very sideways. This 451, still resistance. You might say, hasn't it moved down a little? Yes, it has. It could be the 450, and we do know that people are selling there. But my thought is this: if you decide to sell here at this 450 edge, you want to be a little bit careful and not hang on. It's $1 wide, so that's kind of a big risk if you're intraday trading on the SPY. My thought is, if it gets above 451, that's a 20-cent move. So if it spikes there, give it a shot to come back. But if it cannot lose this 450, you're going to go long right back into the gap. This is still a buy the dip environment. It is still a buy the dip environment. The problem is what we're having is a reversion to the mean, sitting in these fat areas where, you know, our settings are. And so we have a little bit of noise. Again, the traders bought the dip below the low. Remember, we're in this big gap. That's what we talked about. Let me move this down here. I don't want too many drawings. We're in this gap, right? The gap is really, where is the gap? Okay. The gap opens here and is all the way there. So we kissed it and now we're moving up, but we have not filled it. And there's a lot of gap action here that we also have not filled. And so we could see a reversion to the mean simply because of the seasonality event. All the bounces are still getting sold. So that is really what you want to think about. But notice this pressure here because buyers are actually sellers getting out of the market, and that could squeeze us. So we want to be super careful and watch this upper edge. I'm going to move this up here to say 452. Long analysis on the SPY there, but as we can see with the ES, it is essentially the same thing. Trying to get up and over this edge, still inside of these formations. Look, we're above the close of the day, but we cannot breach the high. So they're going to be sellers there. Now, in a tight volume analysis event, we really, I mean, this is incredible. It went right up into, oh, I can't even see it there. Shoot. Let me see if I can see it on a 1 minute. Crumbs. Do you see this volume event looking right here? Now, they're trying to carve out a base here. No doubt about it. They are trying to create a new floor. The problem is trend is down, right? And we're underneath the VPOC. So that's the volume point of control. So though the buyers are trying to carve out a floor, sellers are sitting still at the top of this formation. They came right into a volume event right up here at 45.30. I cannot see it on this chart for some stinking reason. Crumbs. Makes me very annoyed. But in any case, that's what we're staring down here in the chart action, right? Sideways event. When do buyers get excited? When we're above the close of the prior day. And if that closes a down day, we're going to try and get to the open of that prior day. We have not done it yet. So the ceiling here, still between 45.41 and 45.47. All right? If we lose the close, the buyers who came all the way up here and then pushed all the way up here are going to get tired. And they're going to throw in their chips and they're going to say, I'll be back later. And we'll frame rate down into this area around 4,500. It is very, very sideways today. Let's take a look at the NQ. Same sort of thing going on, right? Oh, wow, look at that. We've had our first crossover, so our ribbon is now negative. And our Keltner channel is also negative on the daily. So that's kind of a big deal. So tech is really continuing to leak. Okay, so where are they going to leak to? They're going to leak into their high volume nodes, and that's going to be the same sort of thing as saying, hey, they're going to come back to where all this congestion is. So my suspicion is the bounces going to continue to be sell zones. So here's the thing, be patient, wait it out, and see if you can get a short on the bounce, because people are going to try and bounce unless they pitch in the towel if we lose this. I'm going to move this down just a hair, 334. If they lose this edge, going to be fairly different. All right, so if they lose this edge, all the buyers that have said, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, and they get choked out up here. Choked out. Can you tell my kids love MMA? All right, if they get choked out here, I'm going to fade. Okay, it's going to fade and come down into these edges and fill in these high volume gaps. Let's take a look at oil. Holy smokes. We've got ourselves a little breakout, right? My thought was that I think this is geopolitical. We have a few things going on. There's a lot of trouble in the Black Sea right now. Ukraine is sending out these drones, and because, listen, there's a black market of where all of this oil moves. They mix it with other things, and all of a sudden Russian oil is getting to some place. But it's all got to come out of the Black Sea, which is also a very turbulent bit of water. So, two problems. Insurance rates skyrocketing, people nervous about buying insurance. Well, the insurance companies don't want to sell any insurance. But two, Ukraine has got these drones that are now attacking ships, and that is going to potentially destroy movement. And that is, I believe, is what's jacking up what's going on in the oil complex right now. We don't know where they're getting the equipment from. It could be a third party. We could be that third party. Turkey could be that third party because they feel like they have a shot at getting into NATO, and they're shifting alliances. There's a lot of stuff going on geopolitically right now that you really don't want to hurt your head about if you're just trying to make a buck. But if you're interested, you probably ought to read some of that stuff. All right, so what are we looking at here? We've got another topping event, and because this is being driven geopolitically, my suspicion is, now we're in breakout zone, and we're just going to exhaust ourselves to the top of the Keltner channel again, and that's somewhere around 85. All right, 85.41 is what my analysis shows here. In the grand scheme of things, it's still a messy sideways mishmash, and also it's probably going to get itself sorted out. Election year, nobody wants to pay $6 a gallon for fuel. Hey, listen, if you're listening to me from Europe, my apologies. I know you guys have been paying $6, $10, $12 a gallon for a long time. We're just spoiled here in the Americas. All right. That is really all I have time for this morning. Be careful. We could have ourselves a fairly choppy day. Let's see if they've moved this one. No, it must be, let's see. I gotta talk to them over there about this. GC2. Let's see. Nope, it must be 3, which is what I did yesterday, and I'm brain dead because I can't remember anything. Yeah, here we are. No, that's not even it. Holy smokes. All right, we still have the problem with the pricing for the gold contract. I'll figure that out. But yeah, that's it, folks. Listen, stay frosty. Remember, at the end of the day, look at the big picture to get a view of the landscape. But your job is to get through the forest without crashing into any trees, okay? And the way you do that is to actually look at the trees, which are the candlesticks, and say, wait a second, what are the traders doing here, and how can I navigate intraday? All right, take care, and I will see you on the platforms.